Just hanging out here. Jason here at Dev Slopes. No, Mark is not here again. But that's okay because I'm pretty cool. Yep, just hanging out here. Show some love in the chats. Let's see some flames and love in the chats. Welcome Shabby777. Hey, sanbose.dev. All right, shoot your shot. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. All right. Just doing another live stream here. Mark, I'm substituting for Mark again. So no, this face is not Mark. Or you could pretend my face is Mark with a mullet. So it's all good. What's up, Andre? What's up, Gabrielle? All right. All right, let's see. Do we have anybody over here on the Facebook and YouTube? Yes, we do. Hey, what's going on? Fire Content Prod? Bruh. What does bruh mean? Where's the rest of the sentence? It's like, hey, bruh, what else do you have to say? There's no one watching. There is. I'm on Instagram and YouTube, so I've got a handful of people over here. Thanks. All right. How's it going, everybody? We'll give this just a second. Let some people pop on here. Again, if you're just joining, welcome. To the DevSlopes live stream. I'm Jason, substituting for Mark. I substituted yesterday. It was pretty cool. Just doing code stuff today, just working on code. I've been recording like crazy for the DevSlopes Academy Week 8. I have my voice today because I have water, so that's positive news. Hey, Vassell, hello, how are you? All right, so hey, let's dive into some questions. So I'm going to be managing 2 chats here. All right, so my face is going to be snake eyeing in the left and right. So let's do some questions, and I will start here with Instagram. So what is up, Greg? Welcome. Great to have you here. Let's see. Shallon, you asked, hey, I'm trying to go down the web dev route. How hard is it to get work? Well, that's a good question. I mean, it's going to depend on your experience. So I'm a self-taught developer, so I went down that entire route. If you really hustle and you make a commitment to learn programming, then it's not, I don't want to say it's not hard, but it's going to be easier. You just have to commit yourself to learning to code. And then you have to, burn the bridges. Like, you can't look back. If you're going to choose a programming career, like, you should just run full speed ahead with it. And that's what I did. That's what I did. And so it was kind of rough at first getting started out being a self-taught developer. But I was able to learn what I needed. And I was very, 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 very persistent. And I just kept applying and applying and applying until somebody was willing to pay me for the skills that I had. So good stuff. All right, let's see if we've got any more questions here. I'm gonna go into DevSlopes program. You should definitely check out the DevSlopes program, the academies. What's really nice about the academies versus pretty much every single other experience online is you have mentors. Like me, I'm in charge of the Web Academy, and so I'm the instructor and mentor. So I'm helping students, I'm coaching them. Working through code problems. And so as these students are learning to code, they have somebody they can go to, an actual developer, ask questions and get help. So are you an iOS dev? Shoot your shot. No, I'm not a professional iOS developer. I've dabbled in iOS before, but professionally, I do web development, and currently I'm working in the React framework. I flippin' love it. It's a lot of fun. So no professional apps, iOS apps under my belt, but I've done a lot of professional web development. All right, welcome everybody who's joining. If you just joined, I'm Jason. I am substituting again for Mark. He is out filming a video, I think. He's filming a Kickstarter campaign or something. So he is away filming. So you have my face today. All right, let me scroll through this. Let me see if I missed any questions here. And let's check out the YouTube and Facebook. Vassell says, how are you? I am doing fantastic. I'm doing great. Just hanging out, just coding, recording videos. Paris, you say, bruh, there is no one listening. There is people listening. What are you talking about? I've got a bunch of people over here on Instagram. I've got people on Facebook and YouTube over here. So it's all good. Looks like we still have people joining here. Welcome, welcome. Let's throw some questions in the chat. What do you guys want to know? What do you want to know? I am a web developer, self-taught. You want to know what I've been working on today, what I've done in my past, questions about freelance code, whatever. We can talk about anything. We can talk about skateboarding. If you want to talk about skating, my trick list, how many bones I've broken, we can do that too. All right, so we have Nadimo Hamad. What is the better data binding or view binding? Let's see, what is the better data binding or view binding? I'm not sure I exactly 100% understand that question. I know I do a lot of data binding, like if I'm working in React and I've got a backend, like I'm using, Mongo and Express, like I'll do my data calls and everything, and I'll bind it to the front end with whatever data object I'm getting back. I don't know if that answers your question. Brig, is it good to learn mobile development through watching videos on YouTube? Fantastic question. That is a great start. All right, it's a great start to learning mobile development. But I've talked about this before. At some point, you're going to have to get out of tutorials. So, and one of the other things you have to be mindful of is to make sure that you are watching tutorials and to know if these people are teaching good practices. So what I did as I got, deeper into my development career is I started out with a lot of tutorials. Like for an example, let's say that I'm learning React. So I watched tutorials on like YouTube and stuff about React. I learned it, but then what I did is I went and I spent time in the React documentation. All right, because that way I could take what this person on YouTube was teaching, and then I could compare it to the React docs, and then I could make a decision on what was good practices and then what was opinions. All right, so yeah, YouTube's a great place to start, but at some point you'll want to get out of tutorials and start building your own stuff, because that's where the practical application of everything you've learned happens, and you'll instill those skills. All right, let's take some questions from YouTube here. Let's see, YouTube, it says, bro, just see behind you. I'm seeing behind me. I'm in an office, there's nobody here. So, okay, so Land asks, how long does it take to be really good at JavaScript? I'm a beginner who knows 80% and 70% CSS. So, you know what? This is a really good question. A really fantastic question. Let's see, I lost it. Okay, so you're asking how long does it take to be really good at JavaScript? It's completely dependent. It depends on the person and the way your brain is wired for it. So funny thing here is, back in the day when I took my first development bootcamp, Mark, the CEO of DevSlopes, he was actually the web development instructor. And so he taught me. And here's what's interesting. He told me, he says, Jason, you are one of the hardest students that I have ever taught. Like, I don't know what it is about you, but things just aren't clicking in your brain. Like, I've never had a student who has had such a hard time learning JavaScript. So for me now, I've mastered JavaScript. Okay, I'm good at it. I can write code. But when I was first learning, it took me way longer than probably the average person to get the dots and everything to connect with JavaScript. So it's going to be case by case scenario. There's places like Code Wars or like Code. Yeah, I think it's Code Wars or Code Ninja. You can go there and do JavaScript exercises. And what it will do is it'll start training your brain to start thinking more programmatically. And that right there is going to make you better at JavaScript. All right, so fantastic question. Let's take another one from YouTube here. This Paris, you say there is something behind you. Yes, there's stuff behind me. I've got a mic, and I've got a sofa back there, and I've got a glass wall. and a regular wall. So that's what's behind me. All right, stop trolling. All right, great. I love it. All right, so we've got another question here in Instagram. How long did it take you to become a web developer? So let's put it this way. I'm going to assume this question is, how long did it take me from first learning web development to actually landing my first job? All right, so when I first dived into web development, I took a 12-week web development boot camp. Okay, this was an in-person boot camp. It moved insanely fast. The content went over my head, but I did grasp some basic concepts. So after 12 weeks of this boot camp that I took, 2 weeks later, I landed a contract project. Okay, it wasn't like official employment. It was a three-month contract deal. They just wanted me to build this piece of software, and after that, I was done. Now, the funny thing is, I took the job just because I wanted the experience, right? But I only had 12 weeks of experience. So this app, this project they wanted me to build, it was like so over my head. So they contracted me to build the project, and then I subcontracted somebody else to help me build it. But the great thing about that is, even though I was a little underqualified, I still took on the project, but I made sure that, I had a backup. I had another developer to help me with it, but it put a real world professional project on my portfolio, which opened up the doors for me to get into a real development position. And so from start to finish, I would say it was probably around 10 months, maybe close to a year, to get my first actual professional job developing. But between that time, I did a lot of freelance work. So I was still getting paid. I was making money as a web developer, but I wasn't professionally hired or employed by a larger company. All right, so that was a good question. All right, we've had some other people join. Welcome, everybody. Mark's out today doing a video, so you have me. I'm Jason, full stack developer here at DevSlopes, and I'm filling in with my face. All right, so let's see. We've got another question here. I'm going to take this one from YouTube. Can you use JavaScript to build an API? I want to build an API, but was thinking about learning Python. What do you know if learning JavaScript was a better option? So here's a really cool thing. All right, so you're right. So a lot of this this backend API code, people are using Python. There's PHP and some other languages, but there's also, you can build server-side code using Node. All right, and Node is a JavaScript runtime environment that allows you to run JavaScript outside of the browser. So what you can do is you can actually build all your API and server-side code in JavaScript. Okay, and that's really, really cool, because that allows you as a front-end developer make a very easy and smooth transition into a full-stack developer without having to go and learn a brand new language. You can just stick with JavaScript and use Node and build all of your server-side code. So yes, you can do it with JavaScript, and you can do it with Node. Do you have to do freelance work to get a job? No, you do not. I do recommend, as a self-taught developer, or even if you've got a bachelor's in computer science, employers want to see your code. So they really want two things. A, they want to know, can this person code? Can you write code and make it work? And then the second thing is, they want to see code that you've written. They kind of want some of that proof in the pudding. And so when you take on freelance projects, one of the nice things is, if you're getting paid for it, it's considered like a professional real world application. So somebody paid you for your skills. And so having a project like that on your portfolio looks really, really good to an employer versus them checking out your GitHub and seeing a tic-tac-toe app, right? Or a to-do list. All right. Having professional work like a freelance project that you built for somebody else gives you a lot of credibility. So yeah, good question. So you don't have to do it, but it is an awesome way to make money when you're first starting out to learn how to code and gain experience. All right, let's take some more questions here. This one is from Nedimo, sorry, I'm terrible at pronouncing names sometimes. But anyways, you asked, what do you think about React Native in 2021? Well, I just made a React video on this. I don't know if you're referring to that video, but on YouTube, I just posted a video, a beginner tutorial about working with React Native. Now, I don't have loads of experience with React Native. I've dabbled in it. I've made some tutorials on basic React Native stuff. From everything else that I've ever worked with, I think React Native is amazing in the sense that you can write everything in JavaScript and then export it natively to iOS and Android. I think that's flipping awesome. The thing that I don't like about it is, in my experience and everything else I've experienced, it is a nightmare to get set up and running with React. Like, there is so much setup. Like, if you're trying to run this in an iOS simulator, you need Xcode, you need your development iOS targets pointed to a certain iOS version. There's all these loops and dependencies and packages and things that you have to install to just get a dang project to run in a development environment. And it was so frustrating trying to get that set up. It took like 4 to 5 hours to get a project set up and running like that. So kind of annoying, but other than that, React Native is pretty cool. I like it because it's very similar to React. It's just slightly a different syntax and you're using React Native components. So the two play nicely together, obviously. But React Native, it's good. The setup just sucks. We've got another question. This is from Roman. What do you think about CMS like WordPress? Do you use them as a full stack developer? Never. I have never used WordPress as a full stack developer before. Now, if you're freelancing, WordPress is an excellent choice. It's a super awesome tool to use to get a website up and running. It's also a really nice way to, build out a website and then just kind of pass it off to the client, because WordPress has their own CMS to manage content. So the client can just handle any updates or changes that they need to make to the website. So WordPress is great, I would say, for freelance stuff or to get your own personal blog or website up and going really fast. But as a professional developer, you're going to want to break out of the bounds that WordPress constricts you to. All right, good question. Supiter, I like that. That's a good word. Supiter, super inspiring. That's awesome. All right, let's take some comments here from YouTube. All right, let's see, starting here. Okay, so do you think it is still okay to do, let's see, let me try to read this question. The English is a little bit different here. So do you think it is okay for someone to start iOS freelancing? Do you think it is too late for someone to start iOS freelancing? I'm not sure I understand that question. It's never too late to start doing freelancing. How do you find projects in freelancing? So here's the thing about freelancing is, it's a common conception that developers are introverts, right? You can put on your headphones, be in your bat cave, listen to Britney Spears, and you can just code all day, all right? So you don't have to talk to anybody. But when you're freelancing, you have to have some people skills, right? You've got to interact with people. So you can do things like Upwork. So Upwork's a good site, to get posted on for people to find you. And then the other half of it comes down to, networking. And, you're going to need more than just a list of skills to sell yourself. You have to remember you're working with clients, and clients like nice, personable people. So you've got to have somewhat of a personality to do it, or at least some people skills and be able to communicate well. Let's get another question here. Let's see. Shoot, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. I've heard of it, but I forget how it's pronounced. Land asks, is Fiverr or Fiverr a better option of getting a job than Upwork? I would say they're both good options. I'm more familiar with Upwork. It's more popular in my experience, but anything that you can, any, software or service that allows you to post your skills for freelance and stuff, I mean, get on it. So it's a good platform to be on. Another question here from Kwasama Bali. Hello, bro. I am IT support, but I want to switch development career, but I don't know where to start. All right. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to pick a technology that you want to start in. So do you want to dive into web development? Do you want to dive into iOS development or Android development? Okay. So pick a learning path, pick a technology that you want to work with, and then you can start out with some YouTube videos, some tutorials, and then you just start. You can start from there. The DevSlopes Academy has a guided learning path, and you can work with mentors and instructors and get career coaching and all that fun stuff. So if you are like hardcore serious about wanting to switch careers, I would look into the DevSlopes Academy. I'm the web development instructor there, but we also have iOS and Android. And we have students that are in IT. We have students that are in the landscaping industry, in construction industry. Some of them are teachers, and they're all, enrolled in our academy, learning programming to make that career switch. So pick a technology and start with some basic beginner tutorials. All right. Okay. So your question is it too late to start iOS developer freelancing in 2021? Absolutely not. Everybody needs an app. There's billions of people on the planet, and everybody needs an app. So it's never too late, and it won't be too late in 2022 or 23 or 24. It'll be too late when the world ends. So start before the world ends. Let's get some questions here from Instagram. We're going to wrap up here in 8 minutes. I've got some stuff to do. So we got to stop this at 3 or 4 o'clock Central Time here. So that's 8 minutes. Let's take some questions from Instagram. So as a web developer, how much were you earning as a freelancer? Okay, so as a freelancer, it depended. All right, it kind of depends on the client. So I had cheap clients, and if they wanted basic like landing pages for their business or something, I would charge a minimum, an absolute minimum. Like if someone's like, give me a quote, I was like $1,500, like minimum. And the price goes up from there. So if they had more like complex logic in it, or, there was multiple pages or required extra work, then I would move the price from 1,500 and above. Now, I was charging that price because of my skill set at the time, and I had some pretty good skills, so I could charge a price like that. Now, with that being said, I had these small projects, but I landed a huge client that over the course of, I think it was around 10 months, that I pocketed. Well, it was between me and 2 other developers. We went in on the project together, but we made $100,000 in 10 months. Okay, so we split it up between the 3 of us, and so this client was on average paying us anywhere from like $6,000 to $12,000 a month. And those are the projects that you want to try to get into. Like if you're just doing websites, that's great. You'll probably pick up smaller, quick projects. But this client that I picked up had a piece of software that they wanted to build, and it was an ongoing development. And so it was cool because we could expect payouts from this client every month between $5,000 to $12,000. And so we were able to land this big client. So it really depends, kind of where your skill set's at to gauge how much you want to charge. And then if you're going to catch a small fish or a big fish. All right, we'll wrap up with a couple more questions here. Oh, Land, it's pronounced Fiverr. Perfect. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Let's get some more questions here. So Java or Python? I'm not sure if you're asking which one to learn first, but I would definitely never learn Python first. There's not really like a super hardcore demand for that. All right, if you're going to get into web development, start with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, I mean, you have a million opportunities of whatever framework you want to jump into. So don't start with Python, okay? Start with JavaScript because you're going to have way more opportunities and job opportunities and things like that. If you're diving into Java, you want to do Android. You could do Java Android apps, which is cool. My dad is a Java developer in the corporate world, and it sounds like the most boring thing in the world to work in Java outside of Android. I don't know what it is. It just seems insanely boring. But Java or Python, I mean, yeah, pick Android development if you want to do Java. Do JavaScript if you're looking to get into web. All right, what else do we have here? We've got 5 more minutes. Roman Coperanio asks, how do you replace all the functionality that a CMS gives to you with your own backend skills? All right, so here's a cool example. I like that question, right? Because WordPress is kind of this all-inclusive solution. You can build websites, and it has the CMS included in it, so it's great. But what if you want to do custom development? What if you want a React website, but you still want to manage all the content from some type of CMS tool? So there's things like Gatsby.js. It's a static site generator built on top of React. You've got Next.js. And what's so amazing about these frameworks is you can use what's called a headless CMS. So there's the one that I use a lot is called Contentful. And what it does is it allows you to manage all your content in Contentful, and then you can use GraphQL to query in that data directly into your app. And so you can build complete custom solutions and websites using, your own code, and then still have a headless CMS to manage it. And if you're, adding new pages or whatever, if you set up your code and the GraphQL correctly, you can programmatically build pages, and you won't ever have to touch the website. You'll never have to mess with any more JavaScript or HTML. You can just build your code to render new pages when you create those on your headless CMS. So great question. It's definitely possible. You just have to find a headless CMS and then integrate the API into your project to pull the data. All right, we've got a few more minutes. Let's get a super rad question in here. Let me check YouTube here. All right, so what are your thoughts on AWS cloud development? I was contemplating on getting a DevOps engineer professional certification. Would you say that it would help my resume stand out for a DevOps engineer role? I don't want to steer anybody in the wrong direction. I have done very little AWS and cloud development, okay? I haven't spent a lot of time in that department, and you're looking at getting a DevOps engineer role. Now, my question is, with this DevOps engineer role, is this your first take at development? Because in my experience, it is a lot easier for a company to hire like a junior iOS, Android, or web developer. But anything that comes to like DevOps or backend, I mean, you're messing with people's data. They don't want a junior developer in charge of backend stuff, because that's what runs the website. And so they don't want some newbie poking their fingers around, potentially breaking code. So JVG, I can't even pronounce it. It's a bunch of letters, but you're asking who I am. So first off, thanks for joining. Second, I'm Jason. I'm a full stack developer here at Dell. And Mark is gone filming a video, so I am substituting for him. So I'm like the substitute teacher, but a lot cooler than a regular one. Can I talk about React? Yes, I can talk about React for 1 minute, and then I'm going to have to stop this stream. So React. I love React. React is probably one of the funnest frameworks that I have ever dived into. All right. And, like a lot of other frameworks, it allows you to build in components. But I don't know what it is about React. So like you've got Angular, React, you've got Vue, and these other languages. But for some reason, the syntax of React is so beautiful. It is so beautiful that when I write beautiful code in React, I will snapshot it and I will hang it on my wall as a piece of art so I can look at it. That's how beautiful React is. I love the syntax of the code. But on top of that, I think that their API for like the life cycle hooks, I think is amazing. Sorry, I'm like covering the camera with this. All right. So the syntax is amazing. And the way their APIs are to work with like React hooks, for an example, it is so intuitive and it's just so natural feeling. So that's why I'm like a huge fanboy of React. But I enjoy and I appreciate other technologies. But React, for some reason, it's the framework that I dived into that made me insanely passionate about web development. So when I first learned to code, I did the mean stack. So I learned Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node. And I liked Angular a lot, but I literally didn't truly fall in love with web development in my heart until I learned React. I don't know what it was. I just fell in love with it. So, but it's all good. So anyways, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out on this stream. You all are absolutely totally awesome. And if you want to, explore web development or any type of development, check out DevSlopes. We've got the DevSlopes Academy. And yeah, go to devslopes.com and you can check it all out there and get mentor, help, support, all that fun stuff if you enroll. So anyways, peace and love. Everybody go have fun coding, and I'll catch you next time.